Hi golf, it's Nick here for Nick Tally Golf. It's Friday, so welcome to another lesson on golf tips. This week on golf tips, we're going to explain the stack and tilt golf swing, where the name came from, how the system works, and answer some of the most popular questions I get on a daily basis. First up guys, we're going to talk a little bit about the stack and tilt book. This is written by Bennett and Plummer. Fantastic golf book. I picked it up about 7 or 8 years ago, and that's how I got into the system. I've read it many a times, and it's kind of the first book really that kind of went against kind of the traditional sort of fundamentals of golf. And first paragraph in the introduction here: if all golf instruction books, videos and lessons for the last 100 years had taught people to keep their weight on the left side and to swing their hands inward, would have generations of golfers drawing the golf ball instead of slicing. So true. This is a must read guys. If you're interested in the stack and tilt system, you've got to get that book to start with. I know a lot of people do question how they want to get into the system, and either to learn as a coach or as a golfer and to improve their golf. Certainly the first thing you need to do is pick up that book, and you can download it or you can order it in for Amazon. Prior to releasing the book, Mike and Andy kind of developed the stack and tilt name, and that came from an article in Golf Digest with Aaron Badley, which was written before that book, sort of 10-12 years ago. And in the process of writing that article, Golf Digest said, what are you going to call this swing, because it's different. So why is it different? Well, a lot of golf instructions told golfers to shift their weight in the golf swing, whereas in the stack and tilt swing we tell your golfers to have their weight on the left set up, keep it there and then move it forward. We're telling golfers to straighten their right leg and move their hands inwards. Now, you can do those things too much, and I think sometimes that when you work on your golf, if you really want to get better, you do need to work with a stack and tilt instructor, because they're really going to help you push you along the right path, whether that's in person or online. So I do many lessons on the SKILLEST app, which is really helping loads of golfers around the world. So I do appreciate all your support on the app. I know many of you that do watch my channel do take lessons, and I certainly do recommend it. So the stack and tilt name came from that article in Golf Digest, and basically they're working with Charlie Wee at the time, who's they still work with, and they were discussing kind of what name they could call the swing. Well, eventually it came up with tilt and stack, but in the end they switched it around and called it stack and tilt. So the stack comes from where the body weight is. So it's set up, instead of having your weight 50-50, you have your center stacks, shoulders and hips to the left, and then in the backswing you tilt your shoulder to remain stacked. So that's kind of where the name came from. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the key fundamentals and what are different between stack and tilt and the conventional golf swing. So what does the stack and tilt golf swing differ from kind of the conventional swing? So we're going to go into a little bit of detail, hit some shots here, just to give you guys a little bit of insight and some ways that you can practice as well. So first up here, it's going to hit my normal standard golf shot. I have my grid set up here, I've got the ball position on the grid here. So this is a 7-iron. I know if I hit the shot here, my club path's going to be around 4 degrees inside out. It's going to go pretty straight. It might have a little draw on it. You can see on the screen there the ball flight, pretty typical. Pitch is around 160, just rolled out to 166 there. Taking a look at the club data, 4.3 degrees inside out, the contact there, pretty close to the middle, and I was 4 degrees downwards. Now, what's the first key fundamental of stack and tilt? Well, it's contact, where the club hits the ground. You can basically tell how good a golfer is by doing this test. Give them a club, draw a line on the ground, try and hit that line or try and hit in front of that line. Famous video from Mike Bennett hitting the 17 shots in front of the line. So how can you practice that? Well, good way to practice that, if you're at home, you can just do this on a mat. You can do this on the range, just with a bit of tape or something that's basically going to be flat. Place it behind the golf ball. We're going to put this about 2 club heads behind the ball. Now, you don't want to put it too close, because you will catch it, because in the stack and tilt golf swing we're hitting down on the golf ball like the best players in the world. And basically the whole point of this is we're trying to teach golfers to do what the best players in the world do, and that's hit the ground in the same spot. So with that tape there, should be able to hit this shot without hitting that tape. So pretty solid contact, and you can still see the tapes there. So that's the first key fundamental, being able to control the low point. I've done plenty of videos on this, and this is why the stack and tilt system came about, was how can we get golfers to swing and hit the ground in the same spot. When you learn kind of a conventional way of playing golf, you're always told, like, you have to have the grip like this, you have to stand like this, you have to put the ball position like this. You have to make sure your feet are straight, right? Stack and tilt, we're kind of not thrown out the window. It's important. There's really important things in the way you hold it. There's key pressure points, which I've talked about before, but certainly the most important thing when you're learning, this is why we have so much success with newer golfers coming out very quickly, because they learn the dynamic moves of the golf swing, and that's learning how to control where their club hits the ground. And this is where the golf swing differs from kind of the conventional swing. Golfers over the years have been taught to shift their weight, release their hands, right? And you can do that. It does rely a lot more on time. If I shift my weight and release my hands, I can still hit it okay. And do you know what? With practice, I could probably gain a bit more power, which we're going to lead on to the second key fundamental shortly. But to be consistent at golf, you've got to hit the same point. When you take a look at the best players, right, they don't hit every shot on the green or every fairway, but they do make good contacts, and that's where stack and tilt comes in. Golf swing was always taught weight shift, release the hands, where in stack and tilt we're telling you golfers out there to stack your weight left at setup, weight to the left, tilt to stay stacked, push your weight forward, right? The weight is always moving forward. If you start moving that weight back, it's just going to make it so much harder to play this game. It's hard enough as it is. So weight forward. So weight forward is basically center of the hips, shoulders stacked onto the left, not back here, stacked to the left. I'm going to tilt to keep him there, the center's there, and then I'm going to move forward with my hips. No releasing of the hands there. You saw that shot there. Draw to the left. I'm not trying to release my hands. So that's the first key fundamental, contact. Most important thing, got to be able to control where the club hits the ground. It's what the best players do, and that's the whole point here, guys. We're teaching you to do what the best players do. Second key fundamental is creating power. So this is important, right? We're not telling you to shift your weight. So how are you going to create power? Well, a lot of that comes from how you move your body, move your hands. So we have the grid, and you can see from the side view here that the grid is angled. It's basically to represent the golf swing, right? The club is angled to the ground, so we don't swing the club straight back and straight through. So if I try to swing the club straight back and straight through, it's going to be hard for me to create any power, right? I need to move this club on the angle it's designed to swing on. So the club is angled to the ground. It's designed to swing on this plane angle here. It's not designed to go out and straight down. So the power comes from moving the hands and club around the body. It's no good just trying to make good contact and just chip the ball around. It's going to take forever to play the course. So you have to learn how to move the club and hands around on plane. So by turning my feet out, that's already helping me turn my body, having some degree of straightening on my leg. And this is where people do get a little bit confused, right? I'm not telling you to lock the leg, right? Just a little bit of flex with the left and straightening with the right. And then by the time I actually get to the top, it actually starts flexing again. So power comes from moving the hands around the body, and that's on the backswing and the follow through. Now, I've done loads of drills. There's put tees under your arms, a glove. Try and keep those pressure points under the arms. So weight forward, hands in. Takes the club around the body, produces a draw shape. And that's because of the ball position on the grid. We have the ball behind the left shoulder, and if you swing and have your low point at the left shoulder, your swing path's going to be moving inside out. So it's 4.5 degrees into out on that last shot, and a pretty good contact. So this leads nicely on to controlling the curve, which is the third key fundamental. So we've got contact, power, control the curve. Now, with the third key fundamental, stack and tilt, this is the hardest one, and I think that when golfers kind of start out, they're so worried about hitting it straight, they forget about contact and power. When you take a look at the best players each week on the PGA Tour, they all make good contact and they all hit the ball a long way. Now, when you look at the winner of that week, maybe it's the one that controlled the curve and hold the most putts that wins. And that's why golf is so difficult, because being consistent, controlling this club face at 80, 90 miles an hour is very difficult. You have to be so precise, and that's why golfers at the highest level do miss fairways and they do miss greens, but always make good contact, always hit the ball consistent distance and far enough, and that's really important. So this leads on to the third key fundamental, which is controlling the curve, and like I said there, it's probably the hardest one, right? Trying to control this face. But I'd say with the stack and tilt system, we do have a system, we have a grid, And just to give you guys a little bit of an idea about this, if I take my normal swing here, so my ball position here is behind, about club head behind my left shoulder on the grid here. So normal golf swing. So normal golf swing on the grid. You can see a slight draw there. And controlling the face is difficult. That moved a bit left. So sometimes I aim right, and that goes back to going to aiming as a fundamental. 3.3 degrees into out. People are told, oh, you need to aim dead straight, right? If I aim straight, I'm going to miss the green left. 3.3 into out. So now, if I move the ball back, so let's move the ball back on the grid here. So I've now moved it probably a ball and a half back. I know if I do the same golf swing here, my club path here, it's going to go about 6 degrees inside out instead of 3. So same swing. So slightly more curve on that ball. You can see it overdrawing a little bit. So I didn't quite get the club face right there. And this is difficult, right? Don't get this right every time. 7 degrees into out. Now, as I go forward now on the grid, I'm going to put the ball just in front of the left shoulder. Same swing again. Exactly the same swing. I'm not doing anything different here. I'm aiming pretty much the same. Trying to swing my hands in, keep my weight forward. Contact becomes a little bit harder because the ball's further forward. The low point's always roughly at the left shoulder. It should be at the left shoulder, and it becomes a bit harder when you put that ball further forward. So you can see there, path went out to 0.9 degrees into out on the left shoulder. And if I put the ball even forward of that, so now I'm going to go even further forward, trying the same swing again. This is hard to make contact, but I'm going to try a bit thin on that one. You can see it fading off. So I'm just moving the ball around, not really changing my swing too much here. Now, if I really concentrated there, I could probably get those shots pretty close to where they need to be. So that path there moved slightly outside to in. You can see a bit low on the face because having the ball a bit further forward does make it harder to make solid contact. So controlling the curve is difficult, right? But there is a system. We have a grid, and you can see there just by moving the ball around, I can predict my club path, and that's having a system. And I think that's so important in the stack and tilt golf swing, is that we have a system to predict what's going to happen if you do a certain thing in your golf swing. The 3 key fundamentals of stack and tilt, right? Contact, power, curve. Different from this is how you stand, this is how you aim, this is your ball position, you've got to aim dead straight, right? Because I'm not saying it's not important, right? The way you aim, the way you grip it is so important, but it's not, there's no industry standard, right? The best golfers in the world, they will do these things a little bit different. So when you're learning golf and learning to get better, first of all, learn to make good contact, learn to hit the ball a consistent distance, learn the theory or the physics behind hitting a good shot, why having the ball position in a different spot in relationship to your shoulder using the grid, why does that produce a different shot? Now, sometimes for you golfers out there, you might find you have a ball in a slightly different position to someone else. That's fine, what works for you, right? And I think this is so important that when you're learning the system, and whether you take lessons from a stack and tilt coach or you're just trying to learn from watching these videos, is that we're not teaching everyone to swing the exact same swing. Okay, there's a model swing, obviously, but you have a swing to start with, right? And it's really about adapting that swing. What are the key things you need to do to get better? And sometimes you need help on that. Sometimes you need to have an instructor to guide you along the way, right? Just trying to learn a new golf swing, it's difficult, right? Trying to learn, even though there's a system, there's a model swing, it doesn't mean it's easy to do. Like, I've been learning the stack and tilt swing for 7 years now and teach it on a daily basis. And every day when someone has a lesson, we don't talk really about stack and tilt, but I use the system, right? Some of my students here, they're in lessons for over a year, some of them come up to me and go, what's stack and tilt? And I've not really talked about it because although it's the system I use, right, the golfer just at the end of the day just wants to get better, right? They don't need to necessarily understand the whole system. They just need to know what's important for them. So that's why I find the stack and tilt system so good, is it kind of pinpoints and gives the golfer a kind of roadmap to improvement as long as they get the right advice. So sometimes just learning from the videos is not enough. You need a little bit more guidance. Take one more shot. The tape's back. 2 club heads behind the ball. Okay, like I say, don't want it too close. Right, we're not trying to smash down on this ball. We need to have a shallow angle of attack, but get that low point further forward. You can also put something in front of the ball. Sometimes on grass I would put like a tee in, put it in front of the ball and try and hit that. I think that's a good way to kind of aim for something in front. So 7-iron, weight forward, I'm gonna move my shoulder down, take my hands inwards, back swing and follow through. Not a bad shot. Just a little push out to the right, pitched around 160, and I know that swing path there is going to be around 4 degrees. Yeah, 3.9 degrees into out. Pretty good strike on the face. Face was slightly closed, but just pushed a little bit to the right. Now, that's okay, pretty much take that. I know that going back to the key fundamentals of stack and tilt, that contact, power, curve, right? Contact was good, power was good because I hit the ball far enough to play the course, didn't chip it around, and I hit a consistent distance. When I stand there and do my normal golf swing, it goes pretty much the same distance every time, and that's so important to be consistent at golf. And then the curve, okay, 3 degrees into out, face was slightly closed, but the ball just pushed a little bit, but 8 yards to the right, it's probably going to find the green. So definitely take that with a 7-iron. So there's the keys, guys. You've got to understand the fundamentals, and be able to pinpoint them for your swing is not easy. So you have to, first of all, understand those fundamentals, understand the golf swing. I've done plenty of videos in detail on the golf swing. Today is really just a brief overview of the system, trying to summarize it, just try and get you guys to get your head around it a little bit. So hopefully you enjoy the video, guys. If you've got any comments, any questions, post them in the box below. If you're interested in some online lessons, check out my SKILLEST app. Look me up on there. You can find me giving one-on-one lessons or monthly programs for golfers to get better. I've had some really good success with that, so check that out. In the meantime, guys, take it easy, stay on the grid, and I'll see you again next week for another video.